Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we're finally here. We're in the Endgame. It is our Avengers Endgame spoiler review. So we're going to start off right off the back. We're not even going to waste any time here. I'm not even going to introduce my fabulous, sexy co-host, Lawrence Hambone.
I'm Lawrence, by the way.
But yeah, let's just dive in here. Lawrence, why don't you start
Sure.
off?
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Let's start off with
Story.
yeah, let's start off with story, man. How did you
Okay,
feel about the
so
story?
pros, cons, where do you want me to begin?
Pros, baby. Hit me with the pros.
Okay, so I loved the ending of the movie. I thought there was a lot of good stuff to be said about the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, I was gonna say every pro I can think of has like an equal con, but
Hmm.
so I thought the very end of the movie was good. I thought the final scene with like the way that they end Thanos, where they basically snap him back and kind of eliminates everyone. I thought that was great. I really like that. It's kind of like a flip of the coin to see we're gonna do to you what you did to us. Thought that was really clever. I
Well,
didn't see that coming at all.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I feel like we're kind of
Sure.
jumping the gun towards the end. So let's we
Okay.
started off with the Thanos kill, but let's reverse it back.
I didn't like the first part of the movie. That's why I'm starting there.
You don't like the
I
first
didn't
part?
like.
Oh,
No, I didn't like the first half of the movie because I feel like it was very. I feel like there was like almost 2 hours of just like plot development. So like it starts with them killing Thanos.
yeah.
Is
And
that
how
he doesn't have
fucking
this?
were you surprised?
I thought he was gonna kick ass, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm just a pansy. I don't have the stones. I'm dead." And
And
yeah,
Thor's
and
just
then I was
like,
like,
wha
"Well,
boom, arm off, boom. I'm like, oh god damn, like that's literally what I said.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Me too. I was like, "Oh
Oh
shit."
shit.
Uh, yeah. So and then after that, I'm like, "So who's the villain? Like, what are we doing here for the next 3 hours?" And then so that I was already confused there, and then like this whole time travel thing starts to happen, and I had already heard a lot of people had theorized that this is probably what's going to happen.
Hmm.
So I kind of expected it, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're going to do the quantum realm thing.
Right.
Okay, cool. So there's like an hour and a half of them setting this up. I thought it was okay once they started time traveling.
Okay.
Before that, it was just. I mean, I don't blame them. There's a lot of characters they have to go through, and they have to develop the story and all that stuff. So it
Yeah.
totally made sense.
Right.
It feels like it's really long. Like I was expecting, because I was expecting a story that was already laid down. Like this, we already went through the first Infinity War, but now we're here again, setting up a completely different story. And I mean, I understand
So
what they have to
you
do.
you
It's
wanted them to kind of skip over the fact that 5 years have passed and just kind of dive deep into time traveling?
honestly, I feel like they could have begun the movie with them just. It's tough because like I.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like they could have shortened the fact that 5 years have passed and that like Thanos is now. I don't even know if they needed to kill Thanos. I feel like they should have. There's probably an easier way. I mean, I guess they eventually. Thanos is not really a threat, so him dying doesn't really have much of an impact. Other than that, now they know that the stones are no longer existing.
Well, yeah, and I really like that fact because I was expecting that yes, Thanos would be killed early on in the film. Granted, not
Hmm.
that early, so that
Yeah,
caught
that
me
was
off guard. It
really
was like in
early.
the first half hour of the film. It's like,
Not only that, but
what?
he's such a major character, and he dies like a nobody. He dies like some guy on the
Yeah, but it
street.
makes sense though because he had
It
used the
does. It makes
stones to
sense.
snap them
Yeah.
out of existence. So he's used it twice now. Or you've already seen one time with Hulk. He's already like half dead. Tony Stark
Yeah.
obviously just gone. So he's taken the
Yeah.
hit twice using the stones in that capacity. So it would be expected that he's basically yeah on his deathbed. So I granted a pass for that. I really appreciated the first two acts of this film, which were, of course, the first 2 hours of this film, because one, the first act of the film really takes to heart what transpired before we watched this movie. And it took it
Hmm.
seriously, and it let us have time to steep in and marinate with the fact of half the world is in sorrow. I just didn't brush it off and be like, oh, hey, here's a 15-minute yada yada about this, and then let's move into the action. Like, no, like, let's find out what's happening in this world. And it really gave a weight to the sacrifices they all had to make eventually, because now we understand the world they're living in. And especially in Tony Stark's case, he had to sacrifice his life with a daughter and a wife and a quiet, comfortable life.
Yeah.
You know, and we wouldn't have known that. I mean, we could have been told that, but it wouldn't have held as much weight with the sacrifice in the end had we not seen it.
Yeah, I didn't think he was gonna actually sacrifice anything until he looked at Spider-Man. Then I realized, oh yeah, he lost Spider-Man, which he's always been very regretful of.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I didn't like hate the first half of the movie. I felt like it was so long. I feel like it was too long. That's really my only gripe with it.
Yeah, hey, that's
I mean, looking back, I feel like every scene was necessary. So it's like I don't even know what to cut.
right.
But I just feel like we waited so long for that payoff, and we've already waited so long to this payoff. It's like, Jesus, do we really need a tour setup for it? But I mean, I guess we did. I think it's a symptom of having so many characters in one movie. You can't forget any character. You got to have all of them in there. You got to put every single one to. They all got to be useful. You can't have some guy sitting on the sidelines until the last battle. You know.
Right,
It's just
right.
I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I don't
just
know.
feel like, I mean, if you think about it, you spend 2 hours until you're waiting 2 hours of
But see, here's the thing.
no villain in the movie.
Here's the thing. So we have the first hour of the film. That's really, I think, what you're talking about, where we have this dramatic, like weight hovering over us the whole time, where it's a little bit slow. It's definitely character building that whole time. But once we get to the second act of the film, that's all time travel, baby.
Second act is when they start time traveling.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that.
And that's
Those scenes were long.
fucking gold.
I mean, those scenes I felt like they should have been short, and I don't dislike them. I thought they were good. But man,
amazing.
they spend a lot of time.
Amazing.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time though on those scenes. Like if you think about it, because so there's three groups that are time traveling, right? They're each going to where the stones are.
Right.
That's a big chunk of the movie. Just that,
No, it's
and
huge.
that's not a very large part of. I mean, they just have to grab the stones and leave, right? But that's a big part.
Yeah.
That's like an hour and a half of the movie right there.
Yeah, but I really, that was my favorite part of the movie, and I felt like that's where the most fan
'cause
service
it's kind of
existed.
the payoff. It's kind. Yeah, no, I mean that's part of the payoff. So I mean, I can definitely understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So let's talk about that then, because we're there now. So we have three groups traveling through time. 2012 in New York City for the first Avengers film, followed by 2014, which I believe is the Thor: The Dark World, and then Morag, which is the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So 2012, New York City. man, what way to bring it back into full circle.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel versus Captain Marvel. I'm sorry, Captain America versus
Captain America? Yeah.
I never could have even fathomed I would even see that.
I know.
That was such a treat.
Yeah, that was. I like that scene. That was cool, but it was really short. I mean, it didn't go very long. I like the scene where he's in the elevator, and that was pretty clever. I like the way he gets out of that one.
Amazing too, right? Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're like, oh.
And thank God I just finally watched The Winter Soldier a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I know.
Not made any sense to me at all. Like, I would have been like,
I know.
What? I know about Hydra, but like, what?
I had to explain that scene to my girlfriend. She didn't get it at all.
There you go.
She hadn't seen it. Yeah.
See, yeah. Got to catch up on your films, y'all.
All that fan service, yeah. Exactly.
Fan service, baby. Yeah, you know what? And I kind of overskipped here. There were some things that happened that were set up in the first act of the film. So let me go backwards actually for a moment. Lebowski Thor and New Asgard.
Oh, Lebowski Thor. Oh boy,
The dude is back.
I kind of expected it, honestly. I'm like, it's been 5 years. Thor's probably a little depressed. It's probably not going to be too good. And and then when it went down to his gut, I was like, oh boy, his six-pack gut.
Yeah, I totally did not expect that at all. Actually, I had ran out to the restroom a couple minutes prior, and then I walked in seeing Fat Thor, and I'm just like, whoa, what?
What did I miss? Oh
Yeah,
my
did
God.
they time travel to the future? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, no.
Not a fan of that, eh? I mean, because I was a huge fan of that. I loved it. I thought
I didn't mind the
it gave
Thor.
Chris Hemsworth an ability to play the character in a way he's never played before. Get to show him, it allowed him to show his comedic chops, and I just loved seeing the dude reanimated in Thor's body, and it was funny as fuck.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I just wish he had gone back to normal. Like I thought it would have been great if it was like, look, he's depressed.
Hmm.
This is the result of him being depressed. At the end of the movie, he is now redeemed.
Right.
He is now able to do whatever, and he becomes himself again. It does.
Yeah.
He doesn't get that redemption story. He just kind of stays that way, which I
Well,
don't think.
I can agree with you. I can understand that perspective for sure. But I felt like his fatness wasn't an impediment to his abilities. So when we see him come to form in the third act,
Well, if it
he's
wasn't an impediment to his abilities, let me ask you this:
right.
why is he able to seemingly destroy Thanos with the full Infinity Stone gauntlet in the first film, and here a non-Infinity Stone Thanos is able to fight him and two other Avengers at the same time, pretty much without breaking a sweat?
This is true, and I wonder that
And
myself
I
as
think
well.
that's something to the yeah, and
Yeah.
that's something I think the directors the power like the power scaling was totally off. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, you might be right on
And
that for sure.
yeah, yeah, I mean, or maybe it's just his abilities aren't as strong. I don't know, but
Right.
I feel like he should be insanely powerful. He has Mjolnir and Stormbreaker,
Yeah. Yeah,
so
for sure. Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. So I will concede, my good sir.
yeah. I mean, it's confusing. I think my point and your point are both valid. It's just we don't know. Like they didn't do a good job explaining it. We don't really know if he's lacking power or if he just they're not the directors are not showing how much power he has. Like it's very confusing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it'd be nice if they helped us out there.
It's hard to say. All I know is that I was distracted probably most of the time by America's ass.
Oh, America's ass. I really do have America's ass. That
So
was great.
good, man. I love that
A
scene.
lot of good scenes with
It
Captain
was
America in
so
this one.
perfect. Really was,
Hmm.
right? Like to the point where
Hmm.
like Captain America kind of like he understood his former self and he can use that against his former self, using Bucky as like a distraction and kind of like
Yeah,
commenting on like his own self in the past, when he's like, "Oh, I
yeah,
could do this all day." He's like, yeah, I know."
yeah,
Like, it's just like,
yeah. That
oh
was
man,
great.
so good, so good.
Yeah, yeah, I loved it.
Okay, how did you feel about Tony Stark solving time travel in what seems like a couple days with only the most
Uh,
superficial of information from Scott Lang and crew?
yeah, I mean, honestly, I wasn't too surprised by it. I mean, he's kind of known as a genius. When
Right.
he puts his mind to things, he always kind of does that. So, I mean, I guess it kind of fits his character.
Yeah.
Probably not likely in any reality, but
Yeah.
I
I was giving
mean, it's not
nanotech
the
a
first time.
huge gap of like a huge wide berth,
Yeah,
like of believability.
he's known for doing stuff like that, though.
Yeah.
Like, so Tony Stark, we have him when he creates his new core, and he finds a new element because
Hmm.
he's dying of the
That's right.
poisoning that's creating the tattoo.
Right.
It's like a new element, and it's insane. It's his father's work. He's lived with his life. And he's like, I just solved it in a day.
Right.
And
True.
then he keeps doing stuff like that. And then so, time travel, it's just like a walk in the park.
Oh yeah.
Figure it
Yeah, I
out.
got the
Just give
Mobius strip
me the clip
here,
notes,
and
I'll figure it out.
yeah,
Yeah,
click
just
the
give me the clip notes, and I'll figure it out. I'll just
yeah
put a bunch of my
Friday.
computer.
Calculate that
That's all
shit.
time. Yeah,
I have a copy here. Oh.
it's all time travel. Yeah, exactly. No problem. So, I mean, it's very Tony Stark-esque, I guess.
Yeah. I think we had spoken about this. I'm not sure if we were on camera or not, but when we were discussing our anticipations, what our expectations for this film were, I was praying to God, please don't let it be time travel, like a straight time travel story. So I felt like, yes, this is a time travel story, but it wasn't like a time travel story a la Back to the Future, where it's just very
Yeah,
direct.
it's very
One
different.
timeline. If you go back in the past and you change it, then that affects the future and changes the future. Everything's linear. In this case, yes, it's a time travel story, but they had more or less like some quantum theory, like sprinklings on it, where it's like, well, the timelines are divergent. So if you change the past, it's not going to change your present. And if, like
There's
that.
a lot of future and past character interactions as well, which don't, obviously if you kill your past self, going by the normal idea of time, you would kill yourself. You would die too because your future self could no longer exist. But that doesn't happen here because they explain why. Because right, the timelines are divergent, so
Right.
it's a past self from another timeline. So killing them will not actually. It doesn't actually work that way. And
Right.
I'm glad they described it that way in the beginning of the film. They say you can't just go back and erase the Infinity Stones and then Thanos will never get. That never happened because our current timeline will still remain the same. It doesn't affect our timeline because it's already happened. You can't just go into the past. I thought it was cool. It's a very different take on time and time travel, which
and it
very,
worked. It worked.
yeah.
So I'll give them that. Allowed them to do some
I
really.
love the interaction. Speaking of time, sorry.
Yeah.
I love the interaction that Hulk has with the Doctor Strange's master. I don't remember her name.
Oh yeah, Tilda Swinton.
That was like just great. Yeah, it's great to see that interaction was lovely.
Yeah, that was fantastic and a nice surprise. What the hell is her name? The something one.
I don't remember.
Ah,
You're totally failing right now.
the ancient one.
Ancient one? Yeah. That sounds.
Yeah, that was really a really nice cameo by Tilda Swinton, and
yeah, it was great. It's great. I always liked her character, even in the film. I thought she was excellent.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got Act 1s and 2 covered. We've got time travel covered. Let me say one thing. Fuck Thanos. Fuck that guy. Fuck him so hard, man. Fuck Thanos.
He is the ultimate villain, dude.
He is an ultimate villain in this film. Like I actually in Infinity War, I wouldn't say compassion, but like I could understand the logic of like his thought process.
He was he was like the villain and the protagonist in the other film. Here he's just a bastard.
He's just a ruthless, calculating, murderous, fucking insane bastard. Because in the first Infinity War, like you can understand his logic, right? It's just completely like dispassionate, completely logical, mathematical.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm trying to help
balance.
everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you learn in this film, well, when he's told that the universe is not grateful for what he's done, then he's like, okay, well, in that instance,
erase the universe.
Yeah, just erase it all. That's not dispassionate. That's not even and equal. That's just now you're taking your opinion on what the universe should or shouldn't be, and what their opinions of like what you're trying to do should be, and enacting upon that. Yeah, definitely, villain for sure. So I'm glad you agree on that.
Oh yeah.
So let's move into the final act of this film. Your favorite part of the film, the best part of the film.
Definitely.
The throwdown with Thanos once he comes through the time portal and launches whatever missiles onto Tony Stark's Avengers base. We have the most epic hour of cinematic history ever.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah.
They literally have every single character ever in the MCU in that scene.
Since you love this so much, I'm going to let you just take the reins on this and talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. I thought there was. I mean, I don't think it was perfect, but I thought it was really good. They literally have every single character I think that's ever been in an MCU film that had any relevance in this scene. Right. Everyone comes back. It's just an ultimate battle. It feels very. I don't know a movie that's done something this epic. To be honest, it feels very like a medieval battle scene, like something you see out of Lord of the Rings, just straight into a Marvel movie with every character, except it's more than that because it's like every character out of every movie. It's nuts.
Right.
There's this one scene where they have every female character hero all line up, and I liked it, but I didn't like it at the same time because it feels like they're doing very look at our wokeness type scene.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm just like, no, why? I know what you're trying to do. Don't do this to me.
Yeah, I was like, yes, but damn, it's a little on the nose. But
yeah, like I want to like the scene, but I know what you're trying to do, and I'm not really. I don't like it too much.
But yeah, I got that feeling too.
But I did like all those female characters, like individually. I think they're all awesome. I love Pepper Potts in an Iron Man suit. She was awesome.
How else could they do it though? Really, I mean, when you think about it.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah.
I liked it though. I thought she was pretty cool. You know, all the female characters are actually pretty badass. So it was like, look at this slow motion camera,
panning from the left to the right in slow motion.
Like, please stop, Marvel, please, you're drunk, dude, please. I just thought it was a little over the top. I mean, I appreciate what they're trying to do. I just think it was a little too much. Like you're trying to piece. Like, you know, it's tough. I'm in like the middle ground here.
It's probably mostly just our male bias.
I mean, I guess I try not to lean too much towards that. Like I'm totally okay with like that stuff. It just
It obviously worked for a lot of people on a lot of levels because rounds of applause when that happens for me in my
yeah.
viewing experience.
Yeah.
So
Hey, if it works for everyone, then I'm not gonna try to ruin anyone's happiness. If you
yeah,
liked it, that's great.
yeah,
I feel like it was a little too much of too forced.
yeah. It did
I
feel
don't know.
forced. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what other pros or perhaps cons perhaps about this final act of the film?
I loved like the very end fight, like the way it ended and how Tony Stark ends up dying, and it's kind of it's good to have that. As sad as it was, it's good to have like it
Damn,
shows his sacrifice. Yeah, there was a kid in the
damn.
back crying in my movie theater.
Yeah, I literally heard
Is he
people
dead? Yeah.
yeah, audibly gasping.
Yeah. But it was great. I loved the way it ended. It was very unexpected, and it kind of gave Thanos a taste of his own medicine, and it was
Right.
great. I loved
I
it.
am inevitable. I
Yeah.
am
Yeah.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
Boom! Oh
Yeah.
shit! A callback to the first film of the whole entire MCU. Fantastically,
I know.
just written and interwove with so many like different
Yeah.
films and
It's great stuff.
so good.
Yeah, it's really good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I loved it.
Um,
I sorry.
No, no,
Just
I was
so
just gonna say a
excited.
lot of good characters. Yeah, it's very exciting. A lot of good characters got a lot of good screen time in that final battle. Really
Yeah,
gave a lot of people like just everyone had a role. It's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
They did a solid job.
For sure. Yeah, let me just elaborate on like how I felt about the third act of the film because we obviously have a little bit of differing opinions on this third
Sure.
finale.
Yeah.
It's a CGI spectacle. We have some really incredible moments in this film because we have Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, finally like engaging into the final battle with Thanos. We get to see Captain America. So, excuse me. First of all, Thor, who is in battle with Thanos, seems like he might be defeated. Calling for Mjolnir. Mjolnir comes, knocks Thanos in the back of the head, and then is immediately like the Mjolnir is immediately like pulled back, and we're like, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Yeah,
boom,
where's it going?
Captain America like
Captain
with Mjolnir,
America.
like what?
Oh
I was
yeah,
like, I
that was
lost my
great.
fucking mind at that. I'm like, are
Yeah, that
you
was nuts.
serious?
You're
Are
like,
you
what is
serious?
happening?
What? And then
Yeah.
not only that, he's wielding Mjolnir, and he's like, like
Yeah, he's whirling it
he's
around.
whirling
Yeah.
that like thunder
I
and
think the
everything,
theater
like just
exploded
knocking
at
it
that
down.
point.
Huh?
Everyone was like wooing and stuff. My theater exploded at
Yeah,
that
I
point.
lost my
Yeah.
mind. As you can see clearly, I was just like, God damn, dude, they did
I
it.
know.
And yeah, with Thor just being like, "Oh, I knew it," because we had seen
Yeah.
Captain America pull on Mjolnir in Age of Ultron, and he slightly like almost did it.
I
And
know he's like, can
Thor
I?
was like, "Yeah,
Like you're almost worthy. Yeah.
Whew. that for me." But
Again,
see,
another big payoff.
yeah,
Yeah.
huge payoff for me. Like, what was great about the final third act of the film was those tiny payoffs. It wasn't the battle. For me, the battle
Yeah.
it was just CGI spectacle. Like everyone, like a battle royale, just mash, mash, mash. It wasn't
Yeah.
tactical. It wasn't clever like the battle or the final ending in Infinity War, where we could really see like how they had to be very oh help me here calculated and very they had to have a very like tactical approach to defeating Thanos.
Oh right. Like yeah. Right.
Right.
Mhm.
That was my main issue with that.
More
I
brute
just I don't
force than just fight.
yeah I don't like just fights for fights' sake. So
Yeah.
on that level it lost me, but it was obviously largely trumped by the amazing callbacks and fan service present throughout, and of course with Tony Stark's death. That was very touching. Seeing everyone come back
Tony
into the fold
Stark's
too.
and Captain America's.
Yeah, but
Kind of.
Well, yeah,
Kind of.
let's move there, kind of, because Captain America was not killed as I had speculated he might
Right.
be.
He just kind of just leaves the timeline. He
He
returns,
does.
so he goes and he returns the stones, and he doesn't come back.
Yeah,
Is that they put him through the time machine? Hey, you return the stones, and you come right back. So they recall him. No one appears, and then you find old Captain America
Yeah.
waiting for them on a bench,
right.
and he hands off the shield to Falcon, which I don't really like. Kind of wish Winter Soldier got it.
Yeah, kind of strange, right? You thought you would, and that's fun. I didn't
Because
even
I'm
think about
pretty sure in
that.
the comics that's who the next one is. I'm pretty sure he's the next guy up. Is Winter Soldier takes up his shield.
I'm not sure. I've seen screen captures of the comic panels with Sam or Falcon as Captain
Hmm.
America with the shield, but I'm not sure of the canon of the comics, so I can't speak to that. But yeah,
I
now
mean,
that
I
you do
think he is
mention it,
one of them. He does become one of them, but I think the second in line is Bucky Barnes. So,
okay, yeah.
and I think he's more superhuman than Falcon is. Falcon is not
Yeah,
superhuman at all. He's
Falcon
got
isn't a
wings. That's
superhero at
right.
all, so it doesn't make
I mean,
sense. Now that you mention
Ant-Man
it,
kicked his ass. So it's
right?
like,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Uh, all right, so I think that pretty much wraps up all the points in the movie here. I did have a
Yeah.
question though.
There's a lot to go through.
Yeah, what do you? There's so much more we could go through. I just don't want to take up
Yeah.
too much time.
Yeah.
I want to use these last 5 minutes here just to wrap it up. So,
Sure.
where do you think the MCU goes from here? And do you think?
Oh, I'm excited for the future of the MCU. Think there's some. I think we can only go up from here. Honestly, I think the next 10 years are going to be just as exciting as these first 10 years.
Do you think we'll see a
I can't
return
wait
of
to
Captain
see.
America and Iron Man?
I think they're going to have probably a new one. You mean like the original Captain America, like return?
I don't mean anything. What do you mean?
Oh, well, you asked me, do I expect the return of Captain America? What exactly did you mean?
Exactly that. You interpret it as you
Oh,
like.
oh, okay. So it's kind of like an open-ended. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. He'll definitely be back. I just don't know. I don't think he'll ever be back as Chris Evans. I think he's going to come back as the new one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who. I mean, it has to be Falcon, I guess. But you never know. Maybe the character will die, or who knows what can happen.
How about Tony Stark? Do you see a return for him from the dead?
Maybe as a cameo. I don't think he's coming back. Pretty sure he's done.
Okay.
Um, maybe as like I don't know, hologram or something. They always find clever
Boom.
ways of.
That's what I wanted to hear, my boy. All right, you're on the ball. I think Tony Stark is coming back. Maybe not immediately, but he's coming back in some form of AI. You know
It's
this.
like an AI.
If
Yeah,
he can like
he's
solve
gonna be
time
the next
travel,
Jarvis.
you know exactly. You know he developed some sort of barf enabled. You remember barf?
Yeah, I remember Bar.
Some barf enabled hologram,
Little
with
space
Tony
balls.
Stark as the AI. Yeah, definitely. I think so, for sure. And I think Captain
Yeah.
America with Chris Evans is definitely coming back. However, we'll see him, in the past, living out his alternate timeline, as I think obviously we'll see Loki living out an alternate timeline since he did capture the
I could see them coming
space
back
stone.
maybe for the next like Thanos type character, and like we need your help because this guy is gonna kill us type
You
deal.
could see who coming
In the
back?
most desperate. Like maybe Tony, a variation of Tony Stark, and maybe Chris Evans as Captain America
Hmm.
making a return somehow through time travel or something. Who knows what they're gonna do?
Hmm.
As the next Thanos comes, into the story. So
Right.
so maybe like they're gonna be so desperate that they're gonna need their help, and they'll summon them for like the final movie.
Yeah.
Who knows who the next guy's gonna be? The MCU is teeming with villains just as bad, if not worse, than Thanos. So
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm
So
sure.
what are your final closing statements or opinions on this film, and then followed by a review or a score?
Sure. Yeah. So the beginning, there's a lot of story to tell, and I don't really blame them for that. I just feel like there was so much they had to go through, and there's a lot of parts that can get a little bit confusing, and maybe some people might get lost and not really understand like what's going on here. There's definitely some points in the film where I was like, well, what's the next step? But I think in the long term, by the time you get to the end of the movie, it all makes sense, which is what matters.
Right.
I thought that was good. I thought the payoff was immense. They did an excellent job with the payoff in the end. And this is a definitely like you're insane if you're not watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think that this movie definitely is a visionary triumph of filmmaking rested upon 11 years of groundbreaking films in their own right. And it's a love letter to the fans and a bombastic cinematic tour de force that concludes the Infinity Saga. They could not have done this any better. So unfortunately, we've lost Lawrence on the broadcast here, so I'm going to wrap it up myself. And to anybody watching, thank you so much for tuning into Movie Pop. My name is DJ Washington. Of course, you can find us on Movie Pop at Movie Pop Official on Instagram, on Facebook at Movie Pop, and on Minds at Movie Pop. Also, moviepop.org. And thank you so much for tuning in and finding out what's popping in cinema.